Welcome to this explainer. I am so glad you're here with me today. Look, if you're an aspiring entrepreneur or honestly just someone staring down a massive mountain of a goal and feeling completely unequipped for the climb, this one is literally tailor-made for you. Today, we're unpacking a fascinating concept from our source material, the architecture of the underdog. We're talking about the ultimate business narrative, the classic David versus Goliath scenario. And this isn't just about the dry mechanics of business. No, it's about the deeply emotional journey of starting from absolute zero and figuring out how that specific starting line might actually be your absolute greatest advantage. Let's get right into it. They had no investors, no office, and almost no money. I want you to just let that sink in for a second. Imagine waking up with this incredible vision, a burning desire to create something massive. But then you look at your bank account, you check your contact list, you look around your room, and nothing. Just a void. This is the bleak, harsh reality that so many founders face on day one. It is the ultimate underdog starting line. And hey, there's a heavy emotional weight to this, isn't there? It's terrifying. It's incredibly isolating. It can feel entirely hopeless. I know that feeling all too well, and it is daunting, to say the least. But as we're going to see, that exact void, it's often the necessary crucible for true innovation. It literally forces a level of creativity that comfort just cannot buy. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the sheer scale of the contrast. On one side of the chasm, you've got the $0 startup. $0. No safety net, zero plush office spaces, no wealthy backers just waiting to write checks and make your problems disappear. And then, across the divide, the massive incumbents, the billion-dollar companies who already own the market. They've got endless capital, armies of employees, established dominance, the whole shebang. So it's completely natural to feel a ton of anxiety and pressure looking across that gap. The emotional and strategic stakes here are just immense. It's not just an uphill battle, it looks like a completely impossible equation. I mean, as an aspiring entrepreneur, how does the left side ever even compete with, let alone beat, the right side? It's exactly the question that stops so many people dead in their tracks before they even begin. Well, that brings us to the core mechanism of how you actually cross that chasm. Enter the bootstrapped startup, a company built from zero initial capital, relying purely on underdog motivation and ingenuity. We're flipping the script here. We are moving away from a narrative of lack and stepping fully into a narrative of ingenuity. Because think about it, when you don't have money to just throw at a problem, you are forced to use your creativity, your grit, and that pure, unfiltered underdog motivation. But how do you actually use that ingenuity in the real world? When you literally have zero capital. This translates into 3 highly actionable steps. First, you leverage sweat equity. You're trading your time, your hustle, and your skills instead of cash. Second, hyper-focus on a micro-niche. Find a space that giant companies are completely ignoring because it's just too small for them to care about right now. And third, pre-sell your concept before you even build it. This validates the market and gets you that crucial initial cash flow. That motivation, channeled through those 3 steps, becomes your primary currency. You aren't just building a product anymore. You are architecting your way out of the void. And listen, this isn't just some nice theory to make you feel better. This is proven history. Think about Airbnb. They are absolutely the ultimate embodiment of this architecture. When they had $0, zero traction, and were staring down massive billion-dollar incumbents in the hospitality space, they didn't just give up. No, they leaned entirely into that ingenuity. Remember that emotional journey we talked about, the desperation? Well, at one point, to fund their struggling website during the 2008 election, they literally designed and sold novelty cereal boxes. Yeah, Obama O's and Captain McCain's. They bought bulk cereal, glued the cardboard boxes together themselves, and sold them as limited edition collectibles. It's wild, but that generated the crucial seed money they needed to just survive. That is exactly what relying on ingenuity and sweat equity looks like in practice. And the exact same resilience applies to Canva and Notion too. None of them started with endless capital or unfair advantages. They started with a void, leaned on those exact actionable steps, and built absolute empires. They are living proof that the $0 startup can, and does, beat the giants. Which leads us to the ultimate takeaway. If these founders started with $0 against billion-dollar giants, what is the true value of underdog motivation? I want you to really deeply think about that as you walk away from this explainer today. We so often look at having no money as this absolute death sentence for a great idea. But looking at the architecture of the underdog, we have to ask ourselves, is that lack of resources actually the secret ingredient? Is underdog motivation the single most valuable asset an aspiring entrepreneur can possess? Think about it. It forces resilience. It forces absolute laser-sharp focus.
and it forces you to build something undeniable out of pure necessity. So the next time you feel like you're starting from nothing, just looking up at that impossible mountain, remember, you might just be holding the exact currency you need to win. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey, and keep building.